Hey everybody, it's Kobe from Amor IT Solutions. Today we want to talk about hiring contractors for business remodeling. Some of the things that if you own a business and you're trying to hire contractors, some of the things you might want to look out for, questions you might want to ask. It's kind of how to deal with contractors. Hiring a contractor to work on a house or a business could be very expensive. It could be stressful. It can go really easy for you at times, and it can go really difficult depending on how much work you put into finding good contractors to work for you. Hiring contractors, some of the things that you want to do is look for personal references, whether that's, on social media, word of mouth. You definitely want to talk to them or talk to someone about the people that you're looking at hiring to see what their credentials are, what people are saying about them, what previous businesses are saying about them as contractors. You want to definitely take that into account before hiring them, because what can happen is you can hire somebody that just if you don't find any good references, or maybe you're in a hurry and you just don't look for references because you've got to get a job done by a certain amount of time, and you rush into it. Know some questions to ask them. Maybe how long that they have been in business, where they're located at, how many employees they have, what type of job experience do they have, what type of work do they perform. You could ask them about, punctuality. Are they on time? And this, you may obviously get different answers from the guys or girls that you're looking at hiring. This is where, like we talked about before, getting referrals and doing your homework and talking to others about them to see how punctual they are. What type of work do they do? Do they do a good job? Basically, what do others have to say about them? You want to try and meet potential contractors in person. A lot of times, conversations will start out over the telephone or through email. Always good to meet them face to face. You never know who you're going to meet. There's some contractors out there that run their own businesses, and they don't really have legitimate businesses. Maybe they're not very well established. Meeting them in person, being able to look them in the eye, sit down with them, maybe have a cup of coffee or take them out to lunch. Have your questions for them. They should have some questions for you, and just get an overall feeling of how good or bad do you feel about this particular person and the job that they're going to be able to do for you. Recognizing some red flags, if they want, especially a lot of money up front or all of the money up front before the job is completed. That could be a red flag. Another red flag could be as if their bid is very low for the amount of work that you're asking them to do. Some companies will try and low bid because they want to get the work. They want you to hire them, so they'll really underbid themselves to win out the bid. And that could be a red flag too. I mean, I've always said that you should tell whoever is wanting to hire you or whoever you're doing work for, basically tell them, what you're worth. It's more about your experience than it is really anything else. When they're hiring you, they're hiring your experience, the time that you put into your craft, all the blood, sweat, and tears, the long hours of learning your craft, whether that is skilled trade. You're going to a community college, you're going to a big college, you're self-taught, on the job training. It doesn't matter. Your years of experience should matter. I think oftentimes companies look too much at other things other than, they don't want to pay you a certain amount of money, because they have it in their head how much you're worth, even though they may not know you. Again, it comes down to what are you worth as far as your skill set and what can you bring to the table for them. You want to make clear agreements when you're going to be hired in it as a contractor. You basically want to have your pay. How much is the bid going for? How much are you asking for? Have everything in writing. Okay, it's great to talk on the phone, and in this day and age, people like to text message back and forth. But I always say, if it's not in writing, it didn't happen. So, my opinion, communication is best through email, when you're getting down to the particulars of what you're going to be doing on a job site. But also, phone communication is something that I think is very important too. I just think that the phone conversations need to be more of after you've been hired, maybe communicating some through progress of where you're calling them and saying, hey, we're going to be there on this day, and these are the things that we're going to get done, or these are the things we did get done at the end, at the end of our day. But then I would also follow up that verbal conversation or phone conversation with a written email stating the same thing. Written documentation will go a long ways if down the road something happens, you don't get paid what you were supposed to get paid, or the agreement is not what was put in writing. At least you have some type of written document or legal backing to help you if you have to go to court. You want to keep track of your work. Every business has different ways of keeping track of their work. We tend to use our invoicing program that we use is a great tool for that. We can build out projects and tasks for different people working for us, how many hours they put in, what they did on a particular day. This all could be put into our invoicing system, and we put them down as tasks, and we could basically convert them into an invoice. So it works really well for us. That's just how we do it. But like I said, there's many ways that businesses can go about keeping track of how they're getting their work done. Record any changes in writing. So if you agreed to a certain price for a specific type of work that you're doing, but then the work changes over time, like maybe they want different things done, you need to record these things in writing, whether that's corresponding through email, doing it through a billing service. You never want to leave this to a kind of verbal conversation. Like I said, always have the stuff in writing. Otherwise, you're probably going to run into trouble if they want to debate whether or not something was said or something wasn't said, something was agreed upon or not. If it's in writing and they're responding back and forth, that to me, that's a contract. So, like I said, if it's in writing, you're not going to say you're golden, but you're way better off having it in writing than having just some verbal agreement with someone. Um, so this kind of goes into a job that we just completed a day or two ago. This job, actually, we got contacted by this company um, that stated that they had a job where they needed someone with experience with running network cable, data, uh, data cable, and voice cables. Um, these cable drops that they needed were for POTS lines. They did not have a phone system that was an IP based phone system. Um, so they were looking for someone that could do that. This place was actually based out of California that contacted us. And they were kind of heading up, hiring all the contractors for the different things for this business to get them up and going. Their starting date or their close date of when they're supposed to be done with everything was supposed to be, I believe, November. I think it was the 4th or the 5th. I can't remember. And basically, they're still working. We're done with our work, but they're still working. They had a lot of issues with the contractors that they hired. When we went in there at the end of October, we were very surprised on just the lack of work that had been completed. None of the flooring was done. The walls were not done at all. None of the like light fixtures were done. The light switches, the electrical outlets, none of them were done. It really looked like it had just been gutted and nothing had been started. We had to contact the company several times to figure out where they wanted these cables at, how many they wanted. It did change a few times, but we ended up getting a map from them, which then they changed again, and we made up our own map, and we actually got on the phone with them, talked to them about what type of cable drops they needed and where they needed them at, and then we drew on the map, and then we actually emailed it to them, and we got confirmation from them through email that the final draft that we had was correct. So what you're looking at here on the screen is actually the cable drops that we needed to do. This is the front desk area. So they needed, the D's are for data cable drops and the V's are for voice cable drops. So right here at the front desk, they needed one data drop and they needed two voice lines. To the right of that on the desk, they needed another data line and another two voice lines. At the end here, kind of the southern part of the desk here, they needed another data line, another voice line. We labeled all of these rooms by letters, so this was kind of office A. And then moving over to office B, they needed a one data line, one voice line. And office C, which is their audio room, they actually had switched this room. This room was the diagnostic room, and they switched it to the audio room. So they basically switched the diagnostic and audio room. They just flipped them around. But the audio room was office C, and there they needed 3 individual data lines. In office D, which was exam room 3, they needed 1 data line. In exam room 2, office E, they needed another 1 data line. In exam room 1, office F, they needed 1 data line. Getting back to the front desk in office A, or at the front desk, behind the front desk, they needed a 2 data lines in 2 different parts of this back wall here as well. All in all, they needed 12 data lines and 6 voice lines. So we went ahead and started running the cables. Went ahead and labeled. What we like to do is run all the cables. We label them at both ends of the cable. So where the cables were starting out at, where they were coming out at through the wall, which we were putting network jacks at. We would label the cables there. So as you see them on the map here, or the floor plan, that's how the cables were actually labeled. And then they were labeled the same way at the other end of the cable, which was located downstairs in the network room where the network rack was going to be set at. Showing you some pictures here. Here is they purchased a 9U? Yeah, a 9U enclosed network rack, which they wanted us to assemble for them and to mount. So here's kind of the box that it came in and all the parts here, and we put it together. After installation, this is what it looks like. Well, let's go back here. This is what it looked like put together. This is actually the front side of it. You can see the lock here that locks this front door here. In the middle of this is glass. At the top of it, it does have fans, external exhaust fans to exhaust any heat that comes from the equipment inside. So another view of the top of it. This is a side view. Both sides look the same way. They actually have a locking door. So obviously you want to put locks on them so no one can open it up and tamper with any of the equipment. Just another picture from the back. And here is a picture of it mounted on a wood board. So we basically put a piece of board. This is where they wanted on the wall downstairs in the network room on the cement wall. So we got a piece of wood, bolted the wood to the cement wall or brick wall, and then we mounted the network cabinet. Let's see here. You look at some of the cabling that we were doing. Here's cables. It kind of looks messy, but cables all around here, running up to the. They had drop ceilings in this part of the, of the basement. So we ran cables through the drop ceiling up to the upstairs and into the walls where we put the wall jacks in. It's a picture of my wife giving the peace sign, having a good time. Here's some of the equipment that they gave us from their existing office that they wanted us to put in. An Aries Charter Spectrum cable modem. They had a Charter Spectrum telephone modem. And they have a 24-port Cisco switch. They have a series wireless box here for their wireless connectivity. This box here, this Hytron, is an actual router modem combination. Charter Spectrum did put that in. We had to ask the company what it was for because we didn't really understand why they needed 3 boxes, and they think that it was a mistake, and they basically told us to unplug that, put it to the side, and they would take care of it. Once they opened, they would contact Charter. One of the problems that we ran into is when we were given all this equipment that they didn't give us the ears to mount the switch inside the rack. So we had to contact the company, and they basically said that they would send they have an IT technician that was going to be on site, in the second week, I think, in November, second or third week, and was going to just bring the ears and either would call us to have us mount it, or he was going to mount it himself. Here is a speed test that we performed when we hooked up their router, or excuse me, when we went straight for the cable modem. They're getting about 230 megabytes, megabytes download, and 11 megabytes upload. Ping was about 28. And what I want you to notice here is that when we connected their router, which the router that they had was a Silver Peak Unity Edge Connect EC-XS. It's kind of an SD-WAN router. But once we connected that, you can see that their ping went up to 185. Their download speed was about 20 megs, and their upload speed was 8 megs. Now, I believe that this router was already configured by them, so I think they were bandwidth restricting the download and upload speed, which is something that you would normally want to do in a business. But that ping was pretty high. I was kind of surprised with that. Here is us testing one of the network jacks, the cables and the jacks that we put in one of the walls, just to test, make sure that they were working correctly. And as you can see, we were getting connectivity, so that was good. Here's some more testing. You can see that we have mounted the router in the network cabinet, and then we had a 12-port patch panel that was put in. We just had some of their equipment sitting in the bottom of the network cabinet while we were testing it. You can see the laptop here where we were running some tests. Here again, same thing. We were kind of disappointed. We wanted to be able to mount the 24-port Cisco switch right underneath this patch panel, but again, they didn't have the ears for it, so we ended up having to set it in the bottom of the network rack, which is what their company told us to do until they could get the ears for it. Here's kind of like final stages. You can see the routing of the data and voice cables coming from the drop ceiling and then coming down into the network cabinet. This single coax cable that you see here, that's from that cable modem / router that they were probably going to end up getting rid of, so we just kind of pulled that cable to the side. That's another picture of it finished from the other side. Voice cables coming down into the 66 block. It's kind of a blurry picture, more of a night picture here, but here's a better picture. So some of the things that we ran into with issues is sometimes with contractors you will get like they have an electrician. A lot of times they'll cut out the drywall for putting in the mud rings for putting the network jacks in the walls, and we noticed when we got there that they had already cut out some of these holes in the drywall, but we noticed that a lot of them were just done incorrectly. They were either too small, too big, or they were crooked or off-centered. And I'll show you some pictures of some of them. Here's one here, and the plastic that you see with the labeling, that's our stuff. We're basically, they hadn't painted the walls up to this point. This was just from like 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago. So they hadn't even painted the walls yet, and we didn't want to put the plates on the walls until after they were done painting, but they were so far behind that we ended up just doing it anyways and told them if they want to paint behind the plates that they should just remove the plates and then paint. But as you can see here, this is just not a very good cut job here, and I know it's hard to see, but there's an actual piece of metal sheeting in between 2 layers of drywall, and then Here's a stud, a wood beam that, they should have used a stud finder, and they definitely should have made this box a few inches to the right to avoid this beam, because a mud ring was not going to fit in here. And we ended up having to come in, and we asked them to fix it. They went to fix it. They said they didn't have the tools to fix it. So we basically came in and fixed some of these cutouts that they did incorrectly. Here's another one that started out with a single box, or a single plate with a mud ring. It was supposed to be, and then it looks like they're running electrical cable through it, and they're actually running the electrical cable through the same box that our network data line was coming through. So that was an issue. You never really want to run electrical next to data lines or voice lines. Here's another cutout that they did. As you can see, it's not cut level. It's not even cut to the right size. Another cutout here. Again, they cut right next to a stud or a wood beam. And then you can see to the right, they actually, I think they may have started over here and then saw that it was a wood beam or a stud, and then put this piece of drywall back and then tried cutting further over. But still, mud ring's not going to fit in there. We ended up having to cut a different hole and told them that they were going to have to patch this. All in all, we ended up getting the job done. We had a lot of fun doing it. It's sometimes you run into jobs like this where contractors are really good and they'll help you out in any way that they can. We've had electricians, even in my previous job, electricians that will cut out the drywall for you, and they make things really easy for you, and they have the floor plans, and you work with the contractors and you find out what are good days for you to come in. We typically want to get in there. If it's drop ceilings, that's great. Sometimes we go into places that don't have drop ceilings, but we want to get in there before the painting, before a lot of the stuff is done, the cabinet work and whatnot. We're kind of like want to be the first ones in and the first ones out, if possible. But yeah, it was a good project. We were really thankful that this company contacted us and had confidence in us doing the job for them, and I think they were very happy with us. They apologized numerous times of us having to come back, because we had to come back 8, 9, 10 times because of the contractors being so far behind. They ended up, I believe, having to hire other contractors because some of them just walked off the job. So these types of things happen. There isn't much that they could do about it. They were in a time crunch. Obviously, the business that was wanting to open their doors pretty much this week is not going to happen. I think that they're going to be at least a week to 2 weeks behind. I'm hoping that everything goes smoothly from here on out. Basically, we got all of our stuff done. We tested the phones. The phones were working correctly. All the data lines were working correctly. Their internet was up and running. There was nothing more for us to do. So hopefully we don't hear back from them where they want us to come back and fix something that some of the other contractors broke. But like I said, all in all, it was a good experience. We had a really good time, and they said that they were going to keep us in mind if they ever have any more jobs in the area like this. So we're always happy to hear that. So anyways, that's all that I have. If you have any questions, if you're a business out there that needs any cabling done, or we do security cameras, or you have voice over IP phones, or you want us to manage your network, we're a managed service provider, so we do manage IT companies for their IT needs. So You can reach out to us at our website at amoritsolutions.com, or you can call us. Our phone number's on the website, or you can email us. And yeah, we'd love to be able to sit down with you and show you some of the things that we can offer you. Anyways, that's it for tonight. I want to thank everyone for watching the video. And if you're on YouTube and you want to subscribe to us, you can hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. And if you do that, it'll actually notify you when new videos come out with us. We'd really appreciate it if you could like and share. Yeah, we would really appreciate that too as well. So anyways, hope you guys are having a great day, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we have new content. Also, if you'd like to know more about us, we have several social media pages: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you would like to hire us for any network consulting or IT needs, please head over to amoritsolutions.com, fill out our contact form, and let us know what we can do to help you out. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for all your support, and we hope to see you in the next video.